to find freight.
Good morning, Freight Masters and inspiring Freight Masters. My name is Tim, and today I wanted to talk to you about what to do after you get your freight broker authority. Okay, so at this point I'm going to assume you filed, you got your authority, you got your bond, and now you're sitting there going, okay, now what? Right? Because if you didn't start off as a freight broker agent, you're a little bit behind in the learning curve, right? Or maybe you were a freight broker agent, but you know, the newness to having your own authority and, you know, kind of what the next steps are, right? So are a little bit mind-boggling, a little bit confusing. Okay, so if you have not filed and got your authority and your bond and everything, but you want to, I'm just going to cover this real briefly, and then we're going to move on. There are some things that you can do. One thing is, excuse me, like, hey, I've got. You can go to DAT Solutions Broker Authority, and they will assist you in filing and getting your broker authority and everything. Okay. And we'll just kind of talk about that. Being said, how things are going. There's some information there under our Knowledge Center tab, setting up your business structure, getting your authority, bond, insurance. While we're not obligated to have insurance, most shippers are going to require that you have insurance, right? Usually, you know, a minimum of 100,000 in cargo, et cetera, et cetera. And you can read all about that under our tab, but that's not really why we're here. We're kind of at the point of, you know, you've got your bond, you've got your authority. Let's say you already have your insurance. You know, and there's a multitude of different insurance companies out there for freight brokers that you can choose from, and there's some information. Ask them who the transportation manager is. So you've got all that set up, and now you're going, okay, now what? Well, one of the first things you're going to want to do is find a factoring company, and things like that. It just sort of and not all factoring companies are created equal. I'm going to tell you that right now. And it's like all of a sudden, and they're not created equal for carriers either. Some of you owner-operators out there, maybe you got stuck with a long-term contract, you know, and in the fine print they tell you, you know, oh, well, you have to let us know between this time and that time before your contract auto-renews, you know, otherwise there's huge penalties and fees and, you know, screw you, you're not going anywhere, we've got you. So, and I don't want to see anybody run into that. So if you're an owner-operator looking for new factoring, I'll probably cover that in either the next video or the video after. Okay, because there's some really important things, because I've been talking to some people lately, whether they're brokers or owner-operators, that really truly got stuck with a factoring company that was less than upfront and transparent, and so I want to try to help you guys avoid that. And we're not just talking factoring today, but this is such a big part of you know, being a broker, a new broker especially, or an owner-operator, you know, with factoring, it's because it's your finances, right? So the freight broker factoring company that I recommend is StratoPay. Okay, they've got complete transparent pricing. You get a dedicated account manager. They have a virtual back office, funding within 24 hours. There's no other little hidden fees, and you're not locked into a long-term contract, right? Although I will say this, is that since StratoPay's been in business, they've only lost 3 clients, and those 3 clients inevitably ended up going under. See, so so that tells you a little bit about what they do and how they are there to help you succeed. If you're interested in talking to our rep over at StratoPay, just go ahead, like I said, and I've got some things highlighted here, and they offer quick pay. for your carriers, which is a big thing, because when you are a new freight broker, you're basically like the new kid on the block. And I don't care how many years you've been in the industry. Unless you have some, and even if you do have some like really solid carrier relationships, oftentimes if they're factoring, their factoring company won't factor you. And depending upon how their factoring company operates, they may or may not let them pick and choose which invoices they decide to factor or not. So by offering that quick pay, and if you do get denied factoring from a carrier who wants to book a load with you, call their factoring company, whoever that may be, and say, hey, look, we're set up with StratoPay. That's our factoring company. We offer quick pay. Can we at least get some sort of an initial credit approval, so that we can kind of get the ball rolling here? And oftentimes they'll ask, how much is the load paying and things like that. Obviously, probably if it's like a $10,000 or $15,000 long haul that was, an OD or overweight load, you needed escorts and all of that, they're probably not going to do it. But for your run-of-the-mill general freight, dry van, reefer, flatbed, or any kind of open deck, straight truck, hot shot kind of a thing. They'll usually, say, okay, we'll take a chance on you for this one. If everything goes well, you'll be basically good with us. Okay. There again, just little point there. But yeah, if you're interested in talking to our rep over at StratoPay, fill out the contact form down there below. That will come straight to me, and I will put you in touch with our rep over there at StratoPay, and someone will contact you within 24 hours. So, and you can leave a little message down there, your preferred way of being contacted, whether it's email or drop your phone number in there, and they'll reach out to you by phone. I think oftentimes phone's probably a lot easier for most people, but whichever you prefer, just let me know, and I will get them in touch with you. Okay. And there again, just kind of reiterate a little bit about the virtual back office, invoice management and all of that StratoPay does do. And there again, no long-term contracts, is especially when you're brand new, you are really trying to focus on establishing yourself, right? You're trying to build your book of business, build your carrier relationships, all of that, to get bogged down, and let's say you're starting to move some loads, and you're getting bogged down with the paperwork processing invoices and yada, yada, yada. This really kind of helps alleviate that and let you focus on your business, right? Let them take care of, sort of that, I hate to say it, but like, at least for me, like mundane type paperwork and things, invoices is just something I absolutely dread. Right? I would rather be on the phone talking to new customers, talking to carriers, figuring out what it is that I can do to help them, and not just customers, but my carriers too. Like I typically spend my days listening to customers and carriers, drivers, their pain points. Right? What is it that I can do possibly to help alleviate that, to make your day a little bit easier, right? And as a broker, we're a middleman, and we're not there to work one-sided or the other, because we don't work for the customer or the carrier. We are more or less a middleman, right? And unfortunately, and I've said this in previous videos, I think that a lot of brokers have kind of like lost sight of that, they kind of look at everything sort of one-sided. Well, I'm working for my customer. That's my customer. I have to take care of them. Well, isn't your carrier kind of your customer too? I mean, in a sense, because if you destroy that relationship by being sneaky or deceitful or not transparent about, what a load is, or you've got some hidden fees that you're just trying to, you're like, okay, yeah, I'm going to make a very small margin on this, but I'm going to work this in a way where I'm just going to hammer them with you know, these little hidden fees and things like that, you're going to destroy that relationship. And inevitably what's going to happen is that when you need consistent carriers, say for a dedicated lane or something, they're not going to be there.
DAT, I love DAT.
You're going to get a bad reputation. If you think in this industry that word of mouth doesn't spread like wildfire, you are sadly mistaken.
There's a lot of stuff on there.
So again,
you know, freight broker
build good, strong relationships with your customers and your carriers. It doesn't matter whether they're, you know, a big company, a small company, an owner operator, you know, whatever the case may be.
Absolutely check them out.
Do what you can do to help them grow. Right. I've actually had owner operators, you know, over the years, you know, they were just
everything,
a one man or a one woman operation, and you know, they did consistent loads with me, and over time, you know, they added another truck and another truck and another truck, and next thing you know, they're 10, 15 trucks strong. You know, is that huge? No. Is it huge for them? Yes, you know, and you know, I'd like to feel like I had a little bit of a part in helping that happen, right? Kind of going to bat for them, and at the same time taking care of my customer. So, just a little, I guess, tidbit of advice, you know, in my opinion, you know, if you want to take it.
If you ever decide to ship for whatever reason, you absolutely can.
The next thing you're going to want to do is,
if you're already factoring invoices,
find yourself a good load board. Now, we over here love DAT. Okay, and
you know, oh well, I have to wait
for one simple reason is that when I have to post loads on the load board, my success rate on DAT versus any other load board is bar none. I mean, I have much more success, and it doesn't really matter on the equipment type. Now you'll hear, you know, oh well, this loads board seems to be better for this type of equipment type or that equipment type or something, but really, I don't see a lot of that.
If you are looking to jump,
you know,
to a new
I have better success with that, and I've run into issues with other load boards, and that's why I recommend them. And DAT has been gracious enough to allow me to pass on to you a link, and it is down in the description below. For your first 30 days free, whether you're going for DAT Express or what we use here is
this is my buddy's truck. He drives and everything, and I asked.
I got a brain fart.
If I could use this on the website, he said absolutely.
It's like the pro version, right?
Yeah, there's stuff in there. Schools, freight factoring for carriers.
So that's what we use with the
factoring for carriers. Just like the factoring company on
market rate, you know, it's already on there and everything, so I can see day to day. You know, if I pick up a new lane that I have maybe not familiar with in a little while or something, I can see what the average, you know, what the average lane rate is for that, right? And obviously there's you can't go strictly by that because there are exceptions to things in regards to like accessorials, driver assist, things like that. That's all going to affect that that average rate, right? But that's maybe for another video. But there again,
a lot of stuff there. And like I said,
I prefer DAT hands down.
I also have a link in the description.
Again, if you want to try them out for 30 days, and again, when you're first starting out, that first 30 days, I mean, because you're going to have reoccurring costs with things,
there's a ton of different resources out
like
there
your TMS, maybe your CRM, things like this, your insurance, your bond. You're going to month over month, you are going to have reoccurring expenses. It's not just I've got a phone and a computer, right? You've got your internet, your phone bill, all of that. Is it to the extent of a carrier? No, but it's still a revolving expense month over month, and so anything that we can do, especially when you're first starting out, because unless you have an exorbitant amount of money
felt like I needed to address
saved and on hand
and maybe
to help finance,
get into this a little bit more in
your business, for the first 3 months or so, at least 3 to 6 months, is, every dime that you can save is important. So there again, 30 days free, again, it's what I recommend. You do what you want, but that's one that I truly recommend.
Focus on a niche.
Because they are so helpful.
So going back to hauling plastics,
the next thing you're going to want to do is get a TMS. Now, there's a ton of TMSs out there, and I'm not trying to promote or talk about anyone in particular, because there's a lot of really good ones. We'd be here for hours, me covering all of them, right? If you're first starting out and you're on a very strict budget, probably the one that I would recommend, though, it would be the Ascend TMS. Now, they have a free version and a paid version. I believe they give you the first 15 or 30 days of the pro version.
You've got that
the paid version up front free. If you don't wish to continue on with that, then you go back to their free version, which doesn't quite have all the bells and whistles, but it's still good enough for you to be able to type up rate confirmations.
Some stuff can go on a
keep your customer and carrier contacts, etc.
That a particular type of produce has to
again, us here, we use the DAT TMS.
Like that. So
I really like it.
Phone conversation, that cold call that
pretty easy to use. It's very well streamlined, very user friendly.
Watermelons have to run at this temp, or whatever it is.
So yeah, like I said, there's a ton of them out there, and depending upon what your budget is and things, don't go out into this. I guess kind of what I'm trying to say is, like I said, unless you have a mega budget, don't go into this thinking, I'm going to act like the big boys, right? Because you're going to go broke quick, fast, and in a hurry. All right.
And everything.
So
I really stress,
be conservative, but make sure that you're functional.
Right, they never diversify.
I guess is what I'm trying to say, because some of the TMS systems out there, you've got a huge, basically setup fee or down payment. Then you got your monthly reoccurrings, and I mean, it can be quite expensive, into the thousands of dollars, right?
Really great relationships with carriers.
Again, depending upon your budget and all of that, you decide. But there are a lot of great ones out there. It just depends,
right?
Okay.
So don't forget to focus on your niches.
Let's see, what else? We covered factoring, we covered load boards, TMS. I would recommend getting a CRM. So one thing that I like to use is HubSpot, and I connect. I use like a Gmail. It's a paid domain, right? It doesn't say @gmail.com, but I can connect HubSpot to my email. And so what that does is it helps me save contacts. I can create follow-ups. Maybe you made a call to a prospective shipper, and now's not a good time, but call me in 3 days. You've got an appointment to call them back at, say, 2 o'clock in the afternoon or something. When things maybe slow down a little bit for them. It's a way to kind of set that reminder, because when you're making all those phone calls, right? Hopefully you are, at least, right? It's good to kind of have some organization. So, and they'll, kind of kick you back to some of those little reminders and things. But the other thing I like about using HubSpot too and connecting that to my email is that it'll tell me if an email's been opened and how many times. So if somebody tries to say, oh, I never got that email, but it shows it was opened 3 times or something, then, yeah, no, I got you. I know you got it. You're BSing me, and you don't want to play those games. So, that and when you send out, well, at least with ours, because I CC myself when I send out Raycon, so I send myself a copy, because sometimes the system sends it out to carrier, and while it's extremely rare, sometimes it does hit their spam folder for whatever reasons. Their security on their email might send it there, so that way I can always forward my copy to them as well. So I kind of like that, and then it'll let me know that they received it, and usually I just ask them to sign it and send it back to me. Okay. The next thing you're going to want to do is make sure you have a list of prospective customer. Well, okay, let me back up just a little bit before we get into that. You're going to want to know what to say to your prospects. Have a plan, right? Are you going to specialize in dry van freight, open deck freight, refrigerated freight, over-dimensional, overweight, drayage, there's a ton of stuff out there, power only, straight trucks, LTL, whatever it is. Become an expert in your area, right, is what I would recommend. Now, there's some people that, they just, I want to grab up anything and everything. Well, especially when you're dealing with stuff like produce, for instance, a lot of those customers are not going to trust you with their freight if you're not familiar with moving produce. All right. Now, that's just an example. There's other types of freight out there that are the same way. So knowing, what onions run at, or carrots, or potatoes, or watermelons, or avocados, or whatever it is, strawberries, knowing like what temp that is, because basically what you're doing is when you call a prospective customer is when you say, things like, so are you running these at 26 degrees? Well, yes, we are. So that what you're doing is you're kind of telling them that you have, some knowledge, on moving produce, because typically what that freight, the temperature that freight moves at, right? Not, you're asking. Some customers move stuff by hundredweight. Then you've got, basically like your rate plus fuel surcharge. There's all kinds of things that you need to learn, which, by the way, before I go any further, if you are an inspiring freight master and you are looking for training, click our Freight Broker Training tab. Those are the best 2 freight broker training courses out there, in my opinion, that I recommend. One gentleman's name is Dennis Brown. He runs Freight Broker Boot Camp. And the other one is Shaggy. You can find him on Facebook as well. But both of their information is on there. Both really great guys, very thorough. Okay. And if you don't come from like a sales background or know how to find shippers and stuff, besides listening to me, these guys are going to help you out, right? So, anywho, moving back to what I was saying is that I know a lot of people say, have a script, have a script, have a script. You don't always have to have a script, but have something to say. And if you are using a script, which isn't, it's not a deal breaker if you are, but don't make it sound like you're reading from a script, right? We've all gotten those calls from telemarketers and things like that. And sometimes they call us multiple times. You get the same phone call from the same place, and they all say the same thing, word for word for word for word. Okay, number one, if it sounds like you're reading from a script, you're probably going to get shut down. Number two, how many other brokers and broker agents out there are probably reading from a script or something very, very similar, right? So what you want to be able to do is solve problems for your customer, okay, and not sound like the rest of the pack. Differentiate yourself, right? Sound different. And you can practice on your spouse, your boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever, family member. Practice in the mirror if you have to, right? But build that confidence. And when you portray yourself over the phone with confidence, that they're going to hear that, right? And they're going to be more apt to kind of listen to you and maybe give you a chance, and they might just start by sending you some things, to quote for them and kind of see where your rates are at, right? They might just say, hey, yeah, we need a lot of help, get me trucks. Each one is different, right? Each broker is different, each shipper is different, each receiver is different, each carrier is different, right? Some better than others. So that's why we're kind of here to weed out all non-hackers, right? So so then you get your customers, start building your carrier relationships. Once you start getting your customers, use social media. Don't just use the load boards, right? Start to build those relationships because they're going to come in handy, right? Talk to your carriers. Find out what their pain points are, like I mentioned earlier. See what you can do to help them. Find out what lanes that they run to, consistently, and some don't, but some do, right? And so all these things are going to help you succeed, right? And it'll be the difference between you making $20,000-$30,000 a year as a broker or a broker agent to making 6-7 figures a year as a broker or a broker agent. Okay, I know that might sound crazy, but it is absolutely possible if you do everything right. Okay, and I'm not saying my way is the only way, but this is the way that I found to success, right? So I hope that helped you guys out. I didn't want to make this video too long, but if you guys have any questions, by all means, hit me up down there in the comments down below. If you have something that you would like me to discuss in a future video, by all means. If I earned your subscription today, I love you. I appreciate you. Right? Without you guys, I wouldn't be here doing these. And I would also appreciate if you hit that bell notification so that when I do my videos, you get notified when I do that. But yeah, guys, comment down below. Let me know what you thought about this video. And what you'd like me to maybe talk about in another video. I do have 1 or 2 more topics that I would like to cover in the next video or two. But if you have something else, I'll be more than happy to maybe cover that after that or something, or I'll break it up. Like I said, I'm here for you guys, so whatever I can do to help you, I'll do my best to do it. Oh, before I forget, I left out one more important thing. Okay, if you're starting off as a broker or a broker agent and you don't, your experience is limited or nil, try to find a mentor, right? Try to find somebody on Facebook or something, or talk to somebody in your area and maybe see if you can shadow them, or someone that you can kind of reach out to from time to time with different questions and things if you run into something that I haven't discussed. While I have seen a lot of nastiness, like I mentioned in my last video, my shame on you video, there are some good people still out there, so don't let anybody get you down. Don't get discouraged. Okay, keep on keeping on, and with that,